And, as Christina says, privacy is an issue here, even though the company says it's all about safety. Let's bring in the cyber security expert and attorney, Leeza Garber, who's here with us in the studio. Good to see you. Which side do you think weighs more? Is it the safety issue or the privacy issue as people think about this?
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little surprised at the consumer general consensus. Yeah, the reaction there, because it's definitely part of this ongoing security versus privacy debate. It's something we see with all the tech giants, including Uber. And this is not a new concept. Many drivers already record either audio or also visual passengers in their rides. And it's something we've seen, and it's actually highlighted on the Uber website itself. It says you're welcome to record, but you have to follow different state law because there's different consent laws, either one party or two party, depending on what state you're operating in.
I wonder if and you're right, the reaction is a little surprising. Now, it's not scientific when you go out and speak to a few people on the street about this, but maybe part of it is that people have just gotten so used to a lack of privacy in other parts of their life. They're used to, they're on the internet, and it seems like everybody knows what you've clicked on because an ad's popping up, or you have an Alexa device or whatever at home. By the way, even me saying that, they just went off in everybody's house that has them now. They want to see what we're talking about. You get an idea people are listening to you.
It's true. We're giving up a lot of our privacy rights with all the technology we're using. But by the same token, there's this idea of the reasonable expectation of privacy. And does that exist in the backseat of an Uber or even a taxi cab?
Right, because we'd be okay with it doesn't necessarily mean it is okay or that it's legal, is it?
Exactly. And while right now it looks like there are some legal issues depending on what state you're operating in, there have been issues before in the past. A Missouri man was actually live streaming audio and video of his Uber passengers, and he was immediately taken off of Uber and Lyft's policies. They said this goes against our community guidelines, but at the same time, it wasn't necessarily illegal because there is not a reasonable expectation of privacy in the backseat.
And those consent laws that Christina referenced, we hear that in lawsuits a lot of the times with regard to phone calls.
Right.
Now, New York's one-party consent. Am I right about that? In other words, only one person has to consent to have a phone call recorded.
Exactly.
And then other states are different.
Right. And then there's federal laws and there's state laws. There's these thing called wiretapping and eavesdropping laws, things like that. California, for example, is paving the way with really strict privacy regulations, and they're actually a two-party state. So the question when we talk about this is, do the riders actually recognize that they might be recorded? And as long as Uber makes it known that this is their policy, you're actually consenting just by getting in the car.
Does it matter whether how it's set up? In other words, if you're opting in or you're opting out? Because, like you said, they're making you aware. So
exactly. The opt-out is really just not using Uber and not getting in the car itself. So that's really the only opt-out.
If they set it up as a default that it wasn't being recorded, but you could turn it on, I'm not sure if maybe that is the way they're doing it, but if they set it up that you turn it on, maybe that's different? Because then you're making a choice, a conscious choice.
Right, it could be, but at the same time, currently, Uber drivers across the country are recording you, and they have the right to do this based on what state they're in. And they might actually have the cameras concealed, which is the problematic issue. It really has to be out in the open. You have to be able to see the camera and understand you're being recorded.
All right. And again, the company side of it, they just want to be out there so people feel safer or have that perception that they're safer, because that's been an issue, as Christina pointed out, for Uber in the past.
Certainly, and it could help. It could help.
Yeah. All right. Good to see you. Leeza, thank you very much. Leeza Garber.